I'm in Rotterdam, on my way to the biggest and busiest harbor in Europe. Every day, hundreds of vessels sail in, carrying cargo from all over the world. I've come here to meet a young man who works on board a cargo vessel. This is Jeroen. Right now, he's in the middle of his shift, cleaning out old fuel from the ship's fuel tanks. Jeroen is 20 years old and a seafarer from the Netherlands. He's an apprentice on board the vessel, and he's studying for a career as a ship's officer. But right now, he's still learning and has to do everything, including the dirty stuff. The ship just arrived here in Rotterdam after a week's journey on the ocean. Walking on board, it feels like I'm entering a different world. Ships like these are much longer than a soccer field and can carry thousands of tons of cargo. I get to talk to Jeroen during a break. I'm curious if he knows what happens when ships like these die and end up in shipbreaking yards in the developing world.
So I do know what's going on in those countries, and it's really kind of ridiculous, you know, that with the technology of today and the safety equipment and everything, it still has to go in such a way because it's just cheaper, you know. The people walking barefoot and everything, it's just sad, you know.
Before they go to the shipbreaking yards, these big vessels can live up to 30 years. They handle a huge amount of the world's trade. Around 90% of the world's stuff is transported by ship. After work, we go inside the boat to the sleeping quarters. Jeroen shows me his room, where he's living for his 5-month shift on board. It looks comfortable. He has an ocean view and a private bathroom. But I do notice that something's missing. There's no posters or pictures on the walls to remind him of his friends and family. Leaving them behind doesn't seem easy. You told me that you didn't sleep very well last night. Was it at all because you were thinking about your girlfriend, or was it just something different?
Yeah, sometimes you worry a bit about things like how do I do this or how do I do that, and how's it going with my girlfriend and my family, and you know, what are my friends doing at this right moment? You know, are they having a party or maybe hanging out, and a lot of things which I miss, you know, because I just can't be there because I'm on the ship. And yeah, sometimes you can worry about it, but yeah, I try not to think about it too much.
Hello.
Hello.
Jeroen sends text messages to his girlfriend every day, but he hasn't seen her since the day he came on board 3 months ago. The next day, Jeroen and the crew are preparing for a ship inspection. They need to make sure everything works perfectly. Today, the engine is getting a tune-up. Jeroen helps lift it out of the room below. The engine is heavy and fragile. There are only 12 men working on the ship, so there's plenty of work to go around. Sometimes, even the seafarers need a tune-up. After a long day of work, this is where they come to work out their frustrations. It's the craziest gym I've ever seen. Everything is made from old boat parts, including the bench press. He lets me give it a try.
You see, it's not that heavy. If you have a bad day, just work out and forget everything. Yeah, it's
Jeroen's co-worker Oliver is from the Philippines. 1 out of every 5 seafarers in the world is from there. When Jeroen gets a full-time job, he'll work for about 3 months with no break. But most Filipinos work for a year or more non-stop to send money to their families.
I have the biggest respect for these guys that they can manage it to do it. And every day, even if it's raining, minus 20 degrees, thick layer of ice on the ship, and still they're working, and that for 8 months straight, yeah, it's really crazy. I think for us in Europe, it's almost unthinkable to do this kind of work for that small amount of money which they get.
Jeroen's job isn't really popular with young people. Right now, more than 500,000 people work as ships officers. But 20,000 jobs are open, and that number is expected to increase. The shipping industry thinks young people aren't interested in a physically demanding job where they'll be away from home for months at a time. But hanging out with Jeroen, it's clear to me that he enjoys it, even through the tough times. Soon the ship will leave Rotterdam to sail again to the next port.
Are you ever afraid? Do you ever think about there being an accident on the ship or something dangerous happening?
I'm not afraid, but you have to keep it really in mind, because there's always a possibility that something goes wrong, and it's quite dangerous. There are so many things that can happen if you see what we're lifting and with what weights we're working and what amounts of cargo, the dangers of the cargo, the dangers of sailing on a ship, if you're in the middle of the ocean and something happens to the ship, yeah, it's quite dangerous. For example, the mooring line where we're standing right now, if it snaps, yeah, we won't be standing here tomorrow.
How long do you think you want to do this for?
Maybe when I get children, I want to quit and search for a job ashore, but maybe I will do this for the rest of my life until I retire or go down with the ship, it's, yeah.